When things heat up and the temperature rises, we can blame it on a little critter. And that little critter, and our reaction to it, is called the lizard brain. And it's the part of your brain that stores emotional memory. Fear, anger, all of those emotional memories. And it's the part of the brain that helps us react without thinking. So you can see when things heat up, the lizard brain takes over. First thing to ask yourself, in that situation, what was your intent? What did you want to have happen there? Because you know what? When things heat up, it's very easy to get pulled away from our original intent. Now, another important factor in communication is what we call the process. Now, this is basically how we communicate. And there are two things to think about when things heat up. One, how did you look? How did you sound in your situation? And two, did you react to the other person? I have to tell you, I have to really watch myself because I react to facial expressions and tone of voice like that. And I have to stop myself each time. One day, one of the kids was kind of acting up. I'll look at Matt, because I bet he did, didn't he? Yeah. So I'm looking at the kid, and he went just like this. He said, please, please stop looking at me like that. I'll do anything. I was 22, 23. I didn't know what I was doing. A couple weeks later, I was at my parents'. I told my mom this story, and she said, oh, honey, you were intimidating as a baby. And she said, you just look at people. And they say things like, will she let me pick her up? So I know that this face can cause things to heat up. I'm here to tell you I'm in recovery. And I will be in recovery for the rest of my life. I want you to think about a defense that you had as a little kid, because that's where I learned sarcasm. And I think each one of us has something we do to help us survive in our world. And you know, that lizard brain, it'll pop back up at the darndest times. Sarcasm slams shut the door of communication. Now, it's a lifelong project. I'll be working on it. And I can tell by some of your faces that some of you are in denial. Yeah, sarcasm. So how did you sound in your situation? And then let's look at 3 techniques that you can actually apply when things heat up. Together, I call them verbal Aikido. You use the force of the person, you don't respond to it. So another way of thinking about it, if they're pushing, you pull. If they're pulling, you push. First one is selective agreement. And it really means exactly what it says. We want to look for something in what they're saying that we can agree with, rather than disagree. Second technique is something I call limited response, the technique for responding to sarcasm. So if you have sarcastic people you work with, take a note on this one. Yeah. Limited response says you want to respond to the words that they say, but not the tone or the emotion behind it. Because that's what sarcasm is. It changes the meaning of the words by changing the tone. So what did we just look at? Your situation. Could you have used any of these techniques? Yeah. Ask yourself, what was my intent in my situation? How did I look? How did I sound? How did the other person look? How did they sound? Could I use verbal Aikido? Because remember what Seth Godin said. Your lizard brain is here to stay. Your job is to quiet it and ignore it.